These two lights are smaller than the size of my hand, and I used one as my key light and the other as my background light on a real YouTube shoot. But there's a catch to how to use this light, and by the end of this video you know exactly what that catch is and how to work around it. Affordable gear that actually works deserves more attention, not just a Dex unboxing. Now before I show you footage from the actual shoot, there's one accessory you need to understand first because it completely changes how these lights behave, not always in the way you would expect. Both lights share the same body, 97 by 46 by 91 millimeters. You can hold either one in your palm like you've been seeing me do with enough room to spare. They weigh about 422 grams each, small, solid, and feel proper in my hand. The ML40BI is the bicolored version, 2800 Kelvin to 500 Kelvin, 40 watts, 1060 lux at 1 meter bare, while the ML40R adds full RGBW, color control, 1800 Kelvin all the way up to 10,000 Kelvin, 14 lighting effects instead of 11 on the buy. But the ML40R only outputs 181 lux at 1 meter bare, so you are trading raw output for color range. That trade-off matters, and I'll come back to it. Both have NFC pairing with the Godox Light app, which means you can just tap your phone on the light and it connects straight away for wireless control, and both sit on the Godox Mount system, which opens up a full range of accessories, which brings me to the catch. Now, one more thing before we talk about the catch is on the build, and this is something I generally find useful. That is that both lights have a magnetic base. At the back here is magnetic. That means you can stick either one on any metal surface straight away, a car door, a metal stand arm, the side of a fridge. If that is your shooting location, no clamp, no cold shoe adapter, no extra hardware, you just place it in the holes. For a light this size, that kind of flexibility matters. So you can mount one on each other and you see, none of them is falling. So here's the thing about this light. You can run them through the MLZ zoom reflector, the MLD diffusion panels, the CD15 dome, and they will give you beautiful soft wrap lighting. But every layer of diffusion costs you brightness, and at 40 watts you cannot afford to lose too much. That's exactly why Godox made the ML10, which is the reflector I currently have on the ML40BI. It concentrates the beam and pushes the output back up to the 6400 lux at 1 meter on the BI version with that reflector on. I currently have the ML15 or the ML15 on the 40R. But that concentration is a catch. Run the ML10 straight into a large diffuser at close range and you will see a hotspot right in the middle of the beam. You will see it on the subject's face. The fix I used on the shoot was to pull the light further back away from the diffuser and give the beam more room to spread before it hits the silk. Once I did that, it cleaned up nicely, but it required more physical distance than I initially planned for in the space I was working in. Now, if you don't want to deal with any of that, you can use the Godox ML3030 softbox, which is worth knowing about. 1 second. So this is the ML3030 softbox that I have on the ML40R. You don't need a bracket, it comes prepared. Since they use the same mounting system, all I have done is mount it, and you can see it has 2 diffusion layers inbuilt, a highly reflective silver interior, and a honeycomb grid if you need to attach that for light control. All in a package that weighs around 300 grams. Yes, you will lose brightness compared to if you had the ML10 attached. That is the trade-off. But for a talking head setup or a tighter space where you cannot pull the light back far enough, or if you need to light like do a product shoot and you need that nice diffuse lighting, the SF3030 gives you clean, even controlled diffusion at a much shorter working distance. I currently have this light at 1% brightness in HSI mode. I'll just go to let me say 70% brightness. So that's 70% brightness, blue light on my face. And to very quickly touch on the rest of the magnetic accessories, the ML-B4 bundle clips magnetically onto the front of the MLZ ML15 or the ML36 reflectors for spill control and beam shaping. Of course, if you have the MLSP mini projector, you can create effects like this, like what you see at the background. Let me increase the brightness. So this is a 36-degree lens. So that's it on the ML40, creating that effect at the background. And there's so much more you can do. It lets you throw patterned light onto a wall or background like you saw me do when you have RGB engaged. The MLD magnetic diffusion kit adds more micro optical lens panels to the front of any of those reflectors to further spread or diffusion control. And the MLCD15 dome diffuser, let me bring that. So I've reduced that to about 6%. So the MLCD15 dome diffuser clips directly onto the light body with no reflector needed. The fastest way to wrap light quickly on maybe a moving subject. Now, one last thing on accessories, the ML10 that ships in the box with this light is exclusive to the ML40 series. So I can mount the ML15 easily to the ML40R. I can mount the ML10, which ships with the light, to this light. But one thing I cannot do is mount the ML10 to like the Godox ML150BI. It doesn't mount. That's because there's a little thing here that helps with pushing the light so bright. Doesn't work. I currently have the mini Bowens to full Bowens adapter and the full Bowens reflector on the ML40BI. But back to what happened on the shoot. The ML40BI was my key light. I ran it through a large diffuser, like I've said, using the ML10 reflector and had to pull it further back. I think I had light around 90% brightness. And since I had to pull it further back, I was able to deal with the center concentration. Once I got the distance right, the spread was even and the light hitting my face was better. Skin tones held up well on camera and I did not need to push corrections so much in DaVinci Resolve. For a light this size, being used as a primary key light, that is not something I took for granted. The ML40, on the other hand, went on a small stand behind me. I had the MLD and the MLZ attached to the light, and I had that effect, even though it was not as bright as this, at 3200 Kelvin. But you can also have the MLSP projector attached to the light, like I showed you, at higher brightness, and you can have your pattern background behind you. I also tried using the MLZ reflector through the large diffuser before the shoot, and to be honest, it diffused the light more aggressively than I expected. So if you want to return output while softening, the CD15 dome is the better starting point. MLZ is better suited when you want to shape and then soft panels on top. Knowing that order makes a difference. Now, the built-in battery in this light is rated for around 42 minutes at 100% brightness. What I did in the shoot was run a VMAN battery into the USB-C port to keep the light topped up because I didn't know how long I'll be filming for. Pass-through charging works. You can shoot and charge at the same time at up to 60 watts via USB-C. A power bank does the same job if you do not have a VMAN battery system. So the 42 minutes figure on its own is not the full story. With pass-through, runtime is not the issue. There's also a BG02 battery kit available that you can buy separately that adds external battery capacity for longer standalone shoots, which will give you a more mounting point. But pass-through charging solved it cleanly for me without needing any extra gear. I just worked with what I had in here in the studio. If you're watching this and you need something with more raw output, a bigger panel, more throw, more presence as a key light, instead of going with the Godox ML150BI, you can go for the Godox ML150BI. I reviewed this alongside the ML80BI, which is lighting that effect you see at the back. I have a review. Those are on the channel and the links in the description below. This ML40 series sits below those in terms of power, but it goes places, and when paired with the right modifier, it delivers more than its size suggests. If you're a working filmmaker who needs a compact light for run and gun shoots, travel kits, tight setups, a secondary field light in a small space, this is the one, the ML40BI. More output than the R version, bicolor covers the vast majority of what filmmakers actually shoot, and at $99, it is priced where it should be. The ML40R, if you shoot with color in mind, music videos, creative portraits, documentary work where colored particles or ambient background light matters, the R does earn its place. I used it exactly that way on the shoot I showed you and it worked. The £99 or $119, depending where you're buying from, price point is fair for what it adds. And if you're purely a talking head filmmaker or run a corporate video, the extra cost for the RGB will sit unused most of the time. Now, if I spend my own money, I'd buy the ML40BI. The extra output matters more than the RGB for most of what I actually shoot here in the studio. The ML40R only makes sense if color lighting is something you reach for every week, every time, not occasionally. And for whichever one you choose, going knowing that the accessories are not optional extras. These lights have earned a place in my kit. And as you know, I've reviewed a lot of lights, including a lot of Godox light. And at this size and this price point, that means something. So please do me a favor, let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. If you have used the ML40BI or the ML40R, tell me how you get on. And if you want to see how the ML150BI performs, I've left the review link in the description below. It's a solid, massive key light. That video is right in the description like I earlier mentioned. Watch out for it. Do not forget to like, share, and sub to the channel. It's a Filmmaker. I'll see you in the next one. God bless and peace.